Hello and welcome. So we're going to continue working on login, logout, and so on, but we need to be able to set up a component for our logout. So where it says login right now, when we are logged in, I'd like that to change to a bunch of options and a drop-down menu. And at the bottom of that drop-down menu, it'll be logout. The other options will be something like profile or courses owned, something like that could be in there, but right now we'll just make some dummy icons there and a log out on the bottom, which will be functional. So it'll be a drop-down menu, so there is quite a bit to do. Let's get going. Here we are in header right, that's where we want to put it, and right now we have the outline of the shopping cart and the header login. That's what we see here. So we need that to change to a different element instead of the header login when we are logged in. The first thing we should do is make that element and style it up. So let's get started by making a new file within header. It's going to be called header menu.js, of course. Now in header menu, we have a few imports to do. The normal one, we'll import React from React. We also need to import link. Now this is in React Router DOM. React Router DOM, there you are. And finally, let's import AI outline menu. And that's AI outline menu coming from, that was the React icons. And we have to give them the dash to, the slash to, it's IA, this one, in IA. Let's do the rest of the boilerplate. Const header menu. Do our fat arrow function. Have a return in here that just has one self-closing div for now. And then we can export default header menu. Great. Now let's get this header menu onto header right. So let's bring it in first. So import header menu from, and then the // header menu. Now I'm going just to get rid of header login for right now. So I'm just going to highlight it and we'll get rid of it like that. I just press Command and the / key. Now that will be gone for now, and what gets put in its place is the header menu. Okay, now nothing should be there. Great, it's just the cart. Let's get something on the header menu page now. So it won't self-close this div. I'll just close it like so. And we'll just write in here menu. There we are. We are showing up just like we want to. Now this is going to have basically the icon where menu is, and under it will be all that drop down stuff. So we have to mark that up and just follow this markup because it will be a bit more markup than usual before we start like making it look good. So for this, we'll have our div, and just make sure you wrap this in parentheses. We'll have our first div. We will give it a class name. That will be header-menu. Now in header menu, we're going to have our AI outline menu. Now, let's take a look. There it is. That's what we're looking for. Under that, we want to make another div. This will be class name equal to then header menu expand. So this is the expanding part of the menu. Inside of there is where we put a div with class name header dash menu underscore expand, then dash links. So this is where we're going to put all of the links. This is our container, the expand part, and the links go inside of this other container here with all the links. Now we will have a link, and that's what we brought up right on top here. We've used these before. We're going to give this a class name as well. It'll be the same as this one. They're getting kind of long now, so I will copy and paste it in there, and then dash dash one more time to text. And what I want to do is go to, and for right now, it could be anything. Let's just say slash new page. And that'll just take us to a place that we can actually go. Now we could close that link down, and then in there, let's just write new page. I'm just going to have, how about, there might be 3 or 4 of these. So 1, 2, 3, and then we'll have one more of these. Actually, we could do it just the same way, but we're going to make it a div instead. And that one won't go anywhere. There'll be no 2. This will be our logout one. So it'll be a div instead, and we'll write logout, and we'll get that working later. So we do have our icon up here, and then what will be our drop-down menu that will hide itself, and if you hover over it, will open up so that you can click something. Let's get this running. So yarn run scss, make sure you're in the front end folder for that command to work. And then we will go into scss right down here, and we'll make a new file called underscore header dash menu .scss. And you know what we do there at import? The first thing we want to import is that variable. So there they are. And then we'll just get it started with .header dash menu. Just open that up, save that, and bring it into our main at import /, and we should be able to find it pretty quick, header dash menu. Great, I'm going to restart this now that I just added something new to the main file, and we can get going. Okay, instead of header menu, look at this now. We have our menu, we have all of these pages, and finally the logout under it. That's a div and not a link, and we need to make it look good. So let's get started. Let's actually list everything we need in this file first. I think that's a nice way of doing it. Definitely helps me out. I know we have the header menu. We're also going to have styling for the expands. Let's do the end underscore expand. And the styling for expand is going to go here, but it's also going to go in a hover. So let's do this here. We'll do a interesting selector, and hover and underscore expand. And there's where we could do all of our visible work with that expanding. It'll basically be a piece of the page that comes down below and holds new page logout. Inside of expand, there will be those links that we had. So n -- links, and then finally, instead of links, there's the text. So end -- text. So that's everything that we're working on. That's our whole tree. This is a new one, but you'll see how it works. It's a good one, especially if I fix it and do the end sign instead of the star there. That does look better. All right, let's get started. Now, in header menu, there's a few things to do here. We're going to set a font size, and the font size will be set for everything at first, but 2.2 rem, and you'll see what happens here. Everything is too big for this, but that's okay. This right here is going to look good, the actual menu at 2.2 rem. Let's do some more work. We're going to have a cursor of a pointer when we get to it. Let's do a text align of center and align self of center. Give it a width of 12 rem. And we still should have quite a mess on our hands. Okay, good. But we got it in order now. Now it's starting to look like something at least. Not great, but at least it's there. Now let's go down to expand so we could kind of move that out of where it is on top of our icon right here. You can hardly see the icon anymore, but once we move this to be an absolute piece, we'll have a lot more luck seeing things. So here in expand, let's do the position first. That'll be absolute. We'll do a display here of flex. We can do a flex direction of column. See how we're doing. Okay, we're starting to get there. You can see that the icon moved down. That's what I'm looking at. I know this looks awful. And now we're going to get rid of all of this for right this sec. Let's get rid of it and I'll bring it back with the expand. We'll do a visibility of hidden and a height of 0. It'll still have the same width of 12 rem. It's going to have a very high z-index, about 20,000. That'll put it on top of pretty much anything. And opacity of 0. And that's what we're going to transition when we make a transition, so it kind of appears a little bit. It'll look better with that opacity transition. It will also have a border on it. So let's do a border of 2 pixel solid, and we'll do that color blue. Dash blue, it was blue light. Perfect. Then we have the border radius. Now the border radius will be 3 rem here. We're not looking for a circle, we're just looking to round the border of our expanded container here. And let's make a note on that transition while we're here. So transition will be opacity. So we usually say all. This will just be the opacity. That's all we're going to transition. And we'll do that in 0.3 seconds. Now this should be gone and we shouldn't be able to see it at all because we haven't set up any of that hover stuff. Let's set that up now. So on hover, there's just a few things to change. Visibility should be visible. The height should be auto. The opacity has to come back to 1. And that should get us started. Let's take a look. Good. It's starting to look pretty good. We can see that it pops out and it's headed down the page and it's in order. This at least looks a lot better than before. I'm going to add a background color to this. So background color, and let's just make that white. So color dash white. Okay, yeah, starting to look pretty good. I think we could use a little more space on the top and bottom. We'll set the top first because we could set the top within expand right here. We'll just set a padding top of 1.4 rem and save that up. Now there's a little bit of padding on the top here. That does look good. I'd rather it breathe a little more than it is right now. And we're going to shrink the text, so this shouldn't be a problem here with it actually not fitting. Let's go right down to the text and get that looking better. So inside of text, we'll have text decoration. That'll be set to none. We'll also have margin bottom, and that will be the same 1.4 rem that we put on the top, and it'll also give us some space in between each one of them. Now it breathes a little bit more with that 1.4 rem in between each one. Let's change the font. So we'll do font weight first. Let's put that at 800, nice and bold. Let's do the font size. Make that a little bit smaller. It's pretty big right now. Font size, we'll put that at let's do 1.6 rem. And finally, color. The color is going to be that color blue. So color blue light. Very cool. Let's see what we have now. Now it's starting to look pretty good here. I would like it to be something where if we go over and hover over any of these, they look pretty good as well. This is kind of strange where it's a new page, new. I think I understand what's going on right here. Okay, let's just do the links real quick. Let's do a display of flex and then change that flex direction to column. There we go. Okay, now we have our 3 new pages and our logout. This looks much better that way. Now, when I hover, I'd like these to change color. Let's do that. So inside of text, just do end hover. The color will be color blue and not light, but dark this time. Okay, cool. This is looking really good. I am a little bothered by the icon itself. It just doesn't seem to be sitting very nicely. Let me put the inspector on real quick. Let's see if we can kind of see what's going on there. Header right is what we're inside of. And okay, we can kind of see, if you see the blue outline, this is a little more towards the top than the bottom. Let's give it a little bit of margin to take it off the top a little. So we'll go up to the top of this file where we have width. We're going to say margin top. And there we will do our 0.4 rem. See if that works for us. Yeah, that looks more on with the other icon, looks more centered now. That was fun. We made something look pretty cool here. I think it really does look good. Let's put it to some use, because right now we just have this and we can only get the logout. We can't even get the login right now, so let's work on that. Let's go into the header right again, and we'll switch these out one more time. So header login is what we'll be looking at, and I want to see what we get back from the server when we log in now. I have a login made if you don't sign up a new user and then log in, but I made this a couple videos ago. So a@a.com, and we'll log this person in, and I will get their info over here, or at least I'll get it in Redux. Let's take a look. Okay, we have their info here. Let me take a look in Redux as well. I think it'll be a little easier to understand. We have a user reducer. Inside of there is a user, and we just have a user with an empty object sitting right now, but we want to model this. We want to model a clearance, an email, and an ID. This is in the future. I should have erased this. Okay, but we'll do this in just a moment. This is a really cool feature that checks if you have a JSON web token, and if you do, it fetches your information, puts it into Redux. Really cool feature, but shouldn't be there at this point in the lesson. It's something I wrote and forgot to get rid of. But here's how we're going to model the data, and it's going to be modeled already since I obviously didn't take that out of that file. So in Redux, in reducers, inside of user reducers, this is what we're looking to do. Before we just had user and it just kind of looked like that. We didn't have everything else. So we have a user and then we model the information. I like to put a string there. It evaluates to a falsy value. For some reason, I like it better than undefined. So I'm going to go ahead and use these just empty strings for clearance, email, and ID. Have check user as well. I'm going to get rid of this so I could write it with you. So I'll get rid of this here too so I could write it with you. And finally, one more please. Cool. So if you could just model the user this way, just open up an object, give them a clearance, email, and an ID that are all set to falsy values. Head back to header right. We're about to use those values. So we are going to import use selector, and that is from react-redux. Perfect. Get that in, and I'll show you how to use it real quick. So we have a const called clearance. It is equal to use selector, and inside of use selector, we're going to pass in state. Then the function is going to give us state dot user reducer dot user. So we get the clearance pulled off of the user that's inside of the user reducer. That's what we said right there. Now we want to use this clearance in order to either give the menu or the login. So that'd be something like this. We'll open up our brackets first, and then we'll say clearance. We'll ask if that's true or false. So if clearance is not a falsy value, we're going to give the header menu. And if it is, we'll give the other one, which was the header login. There you are. Okay. then we can get rid of both of these. So now this is going to change due to our clearance level, which starts off as a falsy value. So it starts off with this login right here. Now, when we're in login and I go ahead and log in, it should disappear. There we go, and now we have this, which gives us a real nice menu to work with. Perfect. Now let's hook up this logout button to some logout functionality. Let's go to the back end and write that function. I'll close up the front end just for a moment. In the back end, we have a controller and an auth controller. That's where we'll do our logout logic. So we will export, and this is exports in the back end, logout. That will be in async, request, response, next. And in there, we will have a try catch. Okay, so inside of our try block, we're going to have const options. What we're really doing here, I know this is going to seem strange if I don't explain it, we're going to send an expired token. In their cookies, they have a token and it expires at a certain time. And it's stateless when we work with the JSON Web Token. There are other ways to do this. We can have a running list of tokens that are active and aren't active, and whenever someone logs in, we could check against that, make it more stateful. But the idea behind JSON Web Tokens is that it's not stateful. So we're just going to replace their token with a bad token when they log out. The options of that token will be as follows, and we've done this before, so we won't explain too much here. We have expires. And we'll set a new date, which will be date.now plus 10 seconds, so 10,000. So it'll expire 10 seconds after we send it. We'll have secure. We're going to do the same things with this. It's dependent on the node end variable. So if node end is equal to production is what we want to say. We're going to want to say that twice, so I will copy you. And the other one is HTTP only. Now that we've made this cookie, let's send it to them. Res.cookie. That will be JWT. Now, this is what we generated before. If you remember actually making a cookie and encoding it with everything we had there, we had our JWT passcodes and everything, you know, the code that it used to encode with. We're just going to write one here. We're going to write expired token because that's what it is, and it holds no information. And then we'll have the options that we made right over here, meaning even the expired token expires a few seconds after it's sent. And we should send back a status as well. So res.status, that should be 200. And let's also do .json, send back a little information there. All it's going to be is just a status. And then we'll say success, because we successfully logged out. Now, as an error, if we catch an error, we're going to return a next with that error. So this is the first time we're not going to be sending anything here. We're just going to be reading the cookie. And in order to do that, I want to make sure we have cookie parser set up in here. I know I set it up, but I think that was off video. Did I do? Yes, okay. I have the cookie parser set up. So what you want to do is bring in cookie parser. So const cookie parser will equal require cookie parser. If you don't have this, you can acquire a delicious cookie parser by typing in yarn add cookie-parser. So you could add that into the project and then head down here to app.use and let's put cookie parser in there. Right before or after body parser is just fine. Make sure it's before you hit any of your routes. Okay, let's head over to our routes now. And in our auth routes, we need a log out. Now it looks a lot like this. I'll just copy this down at first. We're going to change this to log out, and we're going to change this to get, because we're not sending any information at all in the body. We're sending cookie information, but that comes through our request as a cookie. So we're going to get, and then we'll send that to the auth controller at logout. That should work. So let's head to our front end and try it out. In the front end, head to src, head down to Redux. In your actions, user actions. Inside of user actions, we'll go to the bottom of it. After login action, we'll make a logout. So export const logout action. And that is going to equal just empty. And let's pass it to async. It is async, so we need to pass it to async and get that dispatch. Now we could point to the body. A GET request looks really similar. We'll have const URL being the URL we're going to, which is /auth/ what did we write? I think it was just logout. Make sure that's within the quotes. Okay, so we'll go to the URL /auth/logout, and then inside of our try catch, we will try to await the API.get given that URL. Okay, and that's it. There's no body, there's nothing else to put in there. And I don't even care about the information coming back. I'm not going to store that, because I know if it comes back and it's good, all it says is it responds with success, I think. So I don't want that. It's not going to help us at all. We'll just await it, and if we get it, we'll set off an action. We'll dispatch in action, like so, and all we're going to do is the type of it. The type will be logout. Of course, we have not made logout yet, so this will crash the app. That's okay. Let's just handle the error as well, just in case one occurs. That will be a dispatch, and set alert with the error.response.data.message. So if we get an error back, we should be able to get it from the set alert there. And now I'm going to bring in logout. So remember, we have a types file that should be right here in Redux. There it is, types. And oh, I have that there too. I'll type it with you. Okay, so we're going to export const logout. Set that equal to logout, and we're good to go with that. Let's import it everywhere we need it, which will be the actions. So here we have get user, to logout, and then we have the user reducer. We'll have get user, and just make sure you comment over to logout there as well. Okay. Now the case of logout is so very simple, I don't think we need to retype it much. I'll explain it real quickly. We have case logout. When it sees logout, it's going to return the initial state, meaning it clears the entire state and returns this, a user with undefined everything or falsy values for everything. So case logout, return the initial state. That's what we want to do. Save that there, and we can actually give this a shot. We need to go to our header right, and then you need to go to our header menu. That's where it is. So inside of header menu, we have this div with logout. Let's make ourselves a function here. So we have an action to dispatch. Let's set that up first. Import use dispatch from, and let's get to it. That's react-redux. And let's get the action that we're going to dispatch. So import logout action, and that'll be from, that's 2 up from here inside of Redux actions, user actions. With those 2 things, the first thing I'll do is const dispatch is going to equal use dispatch, the function, so invoke it. And we're going to have const logout. This is going to be a very short function. This actually we could even write in line if we want to, but I'd like to keep it out of the JSX. So we'll dispatch logout action here and as a function. So when we hit logout, what we do is dispatch. Dispatch. Did I spell it wrong here? Dispatch. Nope. Okay. Dispatch logout action. We'll head down to the div that has logout in it, and let's set that up real quick. Just a real quick on click. So on click equals, and in there we will have, make sure it's braces first, well, curly braces first, then your anonymous function pointing to logout and invoking it. That was a lot of code. If this works, I'm personally going to be very happy. Let's see what happens here. So we could log in. I'll bring the this back up on the side. Let's log in. And we are logged in. Let's make sure I have my cookie. I have cookies, a JWT, and you can see a really long content there. That's all the information encoded. Let's try log out. We could move up here, check our cookies again, and see what we have. Now we have a JWT that just says expired token. This doesn't work for us, and this will not keep us logged in. And one of the reasons I knew it worked pretty quickly is this changed, the icon changed. So when I'm logged in, I have this icon. When I'm logged out, I have that icon. So it worked pretty much immediately. And you can check in here. There you are with the clearance ID and email. Logout's working perfectly. You're doing absolutely great. The site is looking good, and we have a lot more to do. The backend is coming together. We will continue that. Follow me to the next video and keep coding.